Welcome to Reimagine Retirement. We are Jason
and Roma,
two early retirees. We are traveling the world using a variety of methods with a mid-level budget.
We are here to show you what is possible and how to make this a reality in your life.
Welcome to Reimagine Retirement. Today we're going to be talking about executing your travel plans. You've made all of the arrangements, you're close to ready to go. There's some final things that you kind of need to do in order to get everything finalized before you head out. These are some of those.
Some of the things you're going to need to do to finalize actually being ready to really get onto the plane or the boat or the bus, you need to sort through your personal possessions.
You need to go through everything, donate, sell household items and clothing, consider people who might enjoy some of your plants, decorations, family heirlooms.
Now, I know for some people this seems very painful and you think, well, I don't want to get rid of everything. I have so many wonderful things. China I inherited from my mother, or this plant has been around for a long time. So consider what you can keep in a storage locker if that's what you want to do. You need to look into your storage locker options. You need to see what the insurance would be on the storage locker. I have found myself in a situation where I had stored items in a storage locker when I had gone abroad, and for some reason the storage locker got broken into and all sorts of damage was done to my items. So you want to make sure that you have insurance in place, because most of the time you will not be able to use your household insurance if you're no longer maintaining a house. So keep in mind you will need insurance on a locker.
We actually had to go through all of our things. At one point we downsized from about a 3,000 square foot place down into one that was about 1,200 square feet, and now we're downsizing so that we're taking everything in a mid-size suitcase. So therefore we couldn't bring with us things like our Christmas decorations or home decor, extra clothes, that sort of thing. So we went through and we downsized and got rid of everything. We gave away or donated Christmas decorations, home decor, all of our different clothing. Another thing to look into at this particular point is actually buying your health insurance and your travel insurance. Once again, make sure that you're protected. Things do happen while you're away that you'd want to make sure that you have coverage for. Another nice thing to know is if you are from the United States, for example, and you are worried about having coverage while you travel, a lot of people that we've talked to that are from America have stated to us that they were able to get things done in other countries health-wise, and they just paid out of pocket for them, and it was actually more reasonable than it would have been to pay for the deductible that they would have normally paid on their health insurance program. So that is something to keep in mind as well, especially if you're traveling in countries, for example, in Southeast Asia. There are a lot of things that they do there that are very comparable to what you could get done in the States, and they're quite reasonably priced.
Something that is very important, and we'll be doing further talks on this, is looking into your phone plans and figuring out how you are going to stay in touch while you're abroad. The big concern, of course, is you want to message, you want to text your friends and family and let them know that you're safe and send a picture, and those things are great, and we'll go through some of the messaging platforms that you can use for that aside from an actual text. But something that's very important, and a lot of people don't realize that they're going to need this capability until they leave their home country, is you need to ensure that you can receive your SMS verification codes. So if you've ever tried to log in and they say, we're going to send you a code, you need to make sure you can still get that code when out of the country. So again, we'll be doing a future video on some ways to get around this system so that you can still get your SMS codes.
Another thing to consider is what you're going to use as your legal mailing address. That's very important. While you're away, you need to have a place where your mail can get sent to, that you know that the important things that might come are being forwarded to you. For tax purposes, you need to have a set address where the government knows that you are. Of course, that is also important with your banking as well. So what we highly recommend is having a mailing address that you have set up before you've traveled, whether it be a relative's address, or there are of course services available as well where you can have a virtual mailbox or an actual mailbox where they will collect your mail for you. But in terms of your banking and your government, everybody needs to have the same address and the same phone number for you that you use throughout all of those different platforms.
Now keep in mind, whatever your government issued ID says is your legal name needs to be the same and consistent on all of your travel cards, on your bank statements, on any documents and verifications that you need, because in foreign countries they may not accept the form of Kathy for Catherine. So keep in mind, you have to have your legal name on everything the same. Why do you need to have your legal documented name on, example, your financial statements? Because there are sometimes the case where you might need to be able to prove that you have financial income to be able to sustain you while in a country as part of a visa requirement. And if the name on that statement is your chosen name and it does not match the name that is on all of your legal documentation, for visa purposes, the government may not recognize that as a source of income. Therefore, your bank statements, your government issued information and IDs all need to match what is on your travel IDs and your legal identification. Another thing to keep in mind is similar to your passport, where you need to have 6 months valid date before you return home. The same goes for your license. And I've seen this where I have been in a foreign country and we were looking to have car insurance on a vehicle, and in order to have car insurance, both drivers had to have their license valid for at least 6 months out of the term beyond when we'd be driving. And so having to have that renewed when you're out of the country presents a lot of challenges. So make sure that even if it's not due, but it could come due soon, get your license renewed. It's going to help you in the long run.
You'll also need it if you want to rent a car or if you want to book a hotel. A lot of places do require your driver's license, so that's very important. Another thing that you might want to look at is closing out, redeeming any local point plans that you may have, rather than those points stagnating or maybe expiring. So things like grocery stores, gas stations, and spend those points.
You spent all this time earning them. You deserve to get benefited from saving all the points, and now it's your time. You can use your points often for things like travel rewards or items that may be beneficial towards your travel lifestyle. For example, you can even buy a lot of times a gift card, which you can use, say, at Amazon to get ready for maybe you're buying a suitcase or some travel related items.
The other thing to do at this point is to apply for any visitor visas that you may need for countries that you plan to go to. It's always a good idea to get this looked after earlier in the process so that you don't have any surprises, you don't qualify, which of course may dramatically change your plans.
Yes, I have come across this before as well, where I was traveling to a country and I had visa issues before I came to the country, and so knowing that kind of set my date as to when I could come and what allowances I could have within that country.
Another thing to do is inquire about any immunizations that you might need to travel to areas that you've chosen. There are quite a few countries where you do need different immunizations, and those are something that you can't just do a week before your trip. Quite often you will have to get one done and then have a waiting period before the second part of the immunization can be done. So look into that a bit early in the process so that you know that you've been taken care of.
Surprisingly, we didn't know that this was the process, and we had gotten our immunizations done early to travel to Southeast Asia because, again, they have some diseases that we don't have and are not familiar with. So we got our immunizations thinking, okay, we are done, and then we found out that it was level 1 in the series of 3. So we had to come back over a month and then over time again. And we thought, oh wow, it's a good thing we started this process early. So be aware that some immunizations may need multiple steps and a length of time to have them accomplished. Another thing you'll need to keep in mind is you may need to pre-order any medications to cover the length of time that you are away. If your insurance, for example, only covers a certain length of time and you are going to be gone further than that, so in my case, my insurance allows me to take 3 months medication at a time, but I'm going to be gone longer than 3 months, so I had to put in a special request to my insurance company and say I will be out of country and I need a vacation allotment. And they will usually give you a vacation allotment of medication for up to 6 months, which will already be prepaid through the insurance. Beyond that, another way to work around getting your medication filled, and again, it's may not be exactly the same is if your local doctor in your home country writes out your prescriptions so you know what they are, you can go to a foreign country, especially if it's a first world nation, and you can meet with a doctor, have a doctor's appointment, and show them your prescription list, and they would then be able to write out a local prescription, because again, they're not going to accept an international prescription, but they would write out a local prescription. It could be the exact same thing, the exact same medication, and then you could go to that local pharmacy in whichever country you are and have it filled. Now, not all medications may be as easily filled as others, so please check with your insurance company if this might be a challenge internationally, but be aware that this is something that your doctors will probably help you with.
We hope this list has helped you to get organized for your long-term travels.
We're excited to hear from you and see where you might have ended up. Hopefully, this will encourage you to dream a little bigger on what's possible and believe that it could happen for you.
Thanks for watching.